Hi, this is Paula Gloria, and this show is called Farther Down the Rabbit Hole. Today I'm streaming, which is January 3rd, 2008, here in my father's office, and I'm setting up a little studio for him so that he can tell his story. I have this passionate feeling and intuition that the more uninhibited we become and the more we can tell our stories and our experiences, particularly the older people who've had more stories and experiences, the more successful that we're going to be as a civilization. Now, I'm also streaming, and I'm going to flash a picture of that over there on a laptop, and if I'm not mistaken, I'll check my settings here, but I believe that that the sound is okay. So if you're able to hear me, and if you're out there, and if you want to participate in this discussion, I'm hoping Harold Channer will be calling. I'm at 510-653-2643. And I make great efforts, and thanks to my friend Harold Channer, I've been able to keep this stream going, even if a bit faltery. Sometimes we have technical glitches. At 12 noon, Monday through Friday, Manhattan time, and I synchronize it so that it starts right after my show on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, for which I am just enormously grateful for. It goes through the actual pipelines of Manhattan, and it's able to be viewed by about 500,000 households. And lately, sometimes in walking around Manhattan, some of you have been nice enough to come up and say hello to me and, give me some feedback. Positive feedback is always appreciated, but I have actually discovered that negative feedback or criticism oftentimes is the most constructive. So, as always, I say we should be using principles of nonviolent communication in order to maintain connections of empathy so that we can stay in connection with each other long enough that we can start working out these differences when our mere egos would like to disconnect and just based on authority be willful and just sort of say, well, that's the way we want to do it. This is what I believe, and take it or leave it. So again, I'm at 510-653-2643, and what I want to say is, what I had before, if nobody calls, what I'm going to do is that roll-in of the Armenian genocide. And the Armenian genocide is something that was called to my attention really only recently, even though I grew up with Armenians in the neighborhood. And again, since I'm from Berkeley, California, there's a great ethnic variety from all over the world. And you certainly see this in Manhattan. You can get a rich ethnic experience just by taking a taxi. But here in Berkeley, it seems it's particularly the intellectuals. Oh. Rabbit Hole Central?
Paula.
Yes, who is it?
This is Truthsleuth. I spoke to you a few days ago via YouTube.
Wow. Thanks for calling in.
Now, your phone number is different, what you held up on the screen, than what's on your website.
Yes, it is, because I don't have those web skills yet to be able to change it every day, but I'm hoping to start to learn that.
Oh, well, that's funny, because my expertise is web marketing, so if you need help with that, you've got to volunteer.
Wow, that is so cool. Say, tell me, do you want to disclose where you live or not?
Sure. I'm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Lancaster County. I absolutely adore that place. Isn't that where the Amish are?
I live with the Amish, as a matter of fact. When they built my house, I have a townhouse. They see my 13 computers in the basement.
Oh, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to hear that. I mean, they've been able to withstand a lot of the economic pressure that other people are under just because they've sort of steadfastly held the land.
Well, don't be fooled.
Don't be fooled?
A lot of people think that the Amish don't vaccinate. About half of the Amish don't vaccinate, but the other half do, and it's ironic because the ones that do vaccinate are the ones that have the problems. The ones that don't vaccinate, they kind of laugh at us. They don't have any problems.
I wasn't actually thinking about vaccination. I was just thinking about having capital assets in the land.
Oh, you're talking about electric generation, that sort of thing?
I'm just talking about, not having to be homeless, actually.
That's true. They do laugh at us. They laugh at us when we have a hurricane and the electric goes out and that sort of thing. But that's a fallacy, too. I thought that all the Amish didn't have electric and generators and that sort of thing. They actually do.
Wow.
They're very big into diesel.
Well, anyway, I know you're filled with a lot of information about 9/11 TV Fakery, if I'm not mistaken.
That and Real Truth, and I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the name Alan Watts?
No, Alan Watts?
Yeah.
Alan Watts.
Yes, W-A-T-T.
Well, wasn't, am I slipping my memory? Wasn't he the guy in the 60s, the hippie type of person?
I think that's the plural, the Alan Watts.
Okay.
This guy's name is Alan Watt.
Okay.
And he's the one who really turned me on. I mean, the last 6 months after listening to this guy has really changed my focus on what is real in life and what is not real in life. And it's interesting, talking about TV Fakery and Nico Haupt. We all love Nico, especially his accent.
I know that's part of the experience,
Absolutely, especially the way he talks when he's not on your show. As a matter of fact, I'm with Nico at. Are we allowed to mention websites?
Go ahead and mention websites.
911movement.org. Anyone listening to this must visit that website. I'm not a researcher. I'm more of a marketing guy, but Nico is one of the first ones to post there when it comes to TV Fakery and future combat system and what really happened on 9/11. And it's interesting because I actually followed your show maybe, I don't know if this is true, maybe 5 or 6 months ago, and I don't think you were on board with TV Fakery at that time, were you?
No, you're absolutely right. I was not on board at that time. It's not that I couldn't have been on board, but I think that psychologically I sort of prevented myself from immersing myself into it, and to me an immersion, I can't put my toe in something. I'm just all the way in, and I sensed that I really wanted to have myself better prepared, more lined up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, what was it that flipped you over the edge? I'm curious.
I'll tell you, and I'm glad you asked. Somebody told me that there was a blowout at St. Mark's Church, and that there was a crazy person there named
Nico.
Yeah, I know, named Nico. And so they showed me the DVD to prove that anything that this guy had to say had to be lunatic, had to be crazy. And so when I saw it, I go, wow. Because of my skills in nonviolent communication and Marshall Rosenberg, who taught me how to listen with giraffe ears, to try to find the unmet needs. And I go, wow, there are serious unmet needs here. I really want to find out what is motivating this type of passion. And that was the beginning. And then he came over and we did a few shows with him, but I still held back. I didn't want to post it right away. I don't know. I'm sort of an intuitive person. I go with the energy.
Yeah, I have to admit, because when I saw you, and I'm remembering back to your shows, I thought that you were on their team, meaning that you were just a left gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Because of that.
I respect that. I respect your your discrimination on that. I do. But by the same token, I know my story. Those close to me know my story. You will start to know my story. So perhaps it's the same for Amy Goodman, Noam Chomsky, and so on, that if we can just stay in connection, we can, bring everybody into a unified place. Does that make sense?
It does, and that leads me into, boy, I got lots to talk to you about. I don't know how much time you have, but what are your thoughts on Ron Paul?
Oh, I have strong thoughts about Ron Paul only because of my exposure to binary economics through Harold Channer.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched that show last night.
Yeah, so in other words, again, why should I speak against somebody unless I feel, you sort of slip into violent communication because you're labeling someone. You're saying there's the good side, there's the bad side.
Right.
I like not to enter into that until I have something constructive on the table that I'm easing things towards. Does that make sense?
Perhaps. Maybe if you can get a little bit more into that. So in other words, Do you vote in elections?
Oh, God. You know, Webster...
Is that a personal question?
No. I might as well just come right out and say it. I think I voted when I was in college at UC Santa Cruz.
Was that maybe 4 years ago?
No, that was...
I'm kidding. Giving you a compliment.
Thank you. No, I had become registered as a Republican so that in the primaries I could vote and get the right guy or the wrong guy or whatever. And there was all this convoluted stuff. By the time I actually drew the curtain, stood there and started voting, I think that's about, those were the months I was smoking marijuana. I've never smoked it since. So I was high on marijuana, and I was sitting there in the voting booth, and I just felt profoundly that I was being ripped off. I could feel my psychic energy get sucked out of me. And it was an experience I didn't want to have again. Even though I didn't get high anymore, I just decided this is not for me. And then recently, because Webster Tarpley got me kind of all whipped up to be a voter, I tried it again in Manhattan, really straight, decades older, and I had that same ripped off feeling.
Yeah. Nico and I kind of are divided on the Webster Tarpley issue. I'm not a big fan of Webster Tarpley.
Okay, well, I think Webster sort of broke Nico's heart, and I know that recently Webster indicated he'd come on my show about Pakistan, because I always like to create a platform to put everything on the table.
Right.
But I didn't hear from him, and I definitely shot him information about binary economics, because I'm always aiming towards, can we get physical meetings of people and start to hash out, using our exalted skills in nonviolent communication, viable alternatives.
Right.
And I also needed to make a little bit of money, so I would say to Webster, I saw Alan Steinfeld would bring people together for spiritual topics and New Age topics, and I thought surely you could design a conference and gather people under these kind of topics. But Webster didn't seem terribly interested, and I had so little firepower, and it looked like he was really scrambling. So what could I do? I just backed off.
Yeah, Webster didn't have, the first time I saw you with Webster, and I think that was the first show I've ever seen of you, was with Webster. Let's just say he didn't have much patience for your interruptions, or what he considered interruptions.
Well, I know, but I've also had a lot of viewers on YouTube tell me to shut up too, and they would tell Harold to shut up. But when I started really, really investigating the topics, I found that Harold Channer, I told Harold and I are really good friends, so we can critique each other in a very open-hearted way. And I said, Harold, you talk too much at the wrong times, and you don't talk enough at the right times.
No, I thought you did an excellent job with Webster, and that's how I know that Webster's not on our team. But speaking of team, getting back to Ron Paul.
Okay.
People who are listening, and you videotape these, so this is in the archives, and hopefully it'll be in the archives when people watch this. You need to go to YouTube and do a search for Ron Paul Loudmouth. Now, do you remember who the Loudmouth was about 20 years ago? A very famous person was on TV. He was known as the Loudmouth. Does that name ring a bell?
No, it doesn't.
Mort Downey Jr.?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was never a political person, except for Webster. He actually initiated me.
Mort Downey Jr. is kind of like the Geraldo Rivera, Jerry Springer type of person about 20 years ago, the chain smoker on TV.
Oh.
But anyway, to make the long story short, he had on Ron Paul, who, by the way, my wife said, is that George Bush? Ron Paul looks exactly like George Bush maybe 20 years ago. It's uncanny.
Really?
But Ron Paul, you would not recognize Ron Paul. Then let's just say it's not good. And if you go to 911 Movement and you look for my username, do a search for Truthsleuth, one word, you'll see that I was a Ron. I haven't voted 22 years. I'm 40 years old. I caught on to the con a long time ago. But this is going to be the first time since Ross Perot. Remember that guy?
Oh, I do remember that.
I was so excited about Ross Perot, and the same things happened with Ross Perot that's happening with Ron Paul. He was in it, then he dropped out, and he had some lame excuse why he dropped out. Then he was back in it, then our hopes came back on, and then he dropped out. Well, the same thing's going to happen. I actually think Ron Paul's going to win, and win by a landslide.
Ron Paul is going to be president?
Absolutely.
Really?
No doubt in my mind.
Wow.
I write a marketing newsletter, example. There is something in marketing that is called the not for strategy. This is very fascinating. You ever notice, like when they did the cigarette liability thing where they had to pay all this money?
Yes, yes.
And they had to come out, part of the deal is that they had to come out with a smoking is bad for kids
right
thing. Well, that's actually a marketing strategy to get kids, I hate to use the word kids, children,
I know,
to smoke more.
right,
Because you can't get it. It's the not for you strategy. You see that with Ron Paul. Oh, it's so predictable now. It's
well,
obvious, at least it is to me.
Well,
all the TV stations are blocking Ron Paul, and he's not allowed to debate this weekend coming up, and then they relent at the last minute. This is a very well thought out plan, not for you strategy.
Well, just a second.
No doubt in my mind, this is a way to get Ron Paul, to get the grassroots going, and to push Ron Paul to the top.
Now, just a second. On a practical level, and what you put on the table, what is going to happen with the Federal Reserve? Because binary economics is a very exciting.
And that's a very great question. And I would, if I were a betting person, and I'm not, I would bet my entire fortune that Aaron Russo, the person who put out Freedom to Fascism, you know about that?
Yeah. What do you think about him?
He's alive. There's no doubt in my mind he's alive. He is alive. He has not died. Bhutto, speaking of Pakistan, is alive. There's not one video that shows her being killed. They have all these shots that go away at the last minute. There's no blood on the car. So if I'm a betting person, I'm saying she's alive, he's alive, and he's a tool, this is my opinion, that he was used to push this whole Federal Reserve nonsense. And here's what's going to happen. This is my prediction. And I've said it many times.
Does it have to do with the euro?
Ron Paul's going to win. He is going to get rid of the Federal Reserve. He is going to get rid of the IRS. So it's going to be replaced by carbon credits, the global warming scam. And you're right. Global warming scam.
Oh, no!
And a national
sales,
so a worldwide sales tax on all goods. It'll be a flat tax. So don't ask for something because you might get it.
Wow.
I'm so convinced this is going to happen.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That is amazing.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you've really, if that, the fact that you come from Lancaster, the fact that you hang out with Amish and they built your house, the fact that you're still tech savvy, we're having this kind of conversation, motivates me. In 2 weeks, or less than 2 weeks, I'm going to be in Dayton, Ohio, at the Patterson Homestead. And, my friend Molly, who's writing a book about our spiritual adventures, I was in India for 4 months. She was in India for 4 months. I was there for 4 years. But she's descended from the man who started National Cash Register, from his brother.
Yep, that's
right. And right next door to the Patterson Homestead is the Bird Polar Research Center and Lonnie Thompson.
Okay.
And the last time the board had a meeting, I was trying to get together a panel of scientists, like Molly's father, who went to school with George Bush Sr., was an executive at DuPont, is descended from 2 signers of the Declaration of Independence and one of the Constitution, eminently qualified to talk science. And I have the records of the emails, just trying to get somebody to represent man-made global warming.
Yeah.
And everybody declined and passed the buck up to Lonnie Thompson himself, who of course was out of town.
Right.
And then I got so much to do. I'm working at a hat shop and I'm trying to get this stuff together. My God, if you can help me with my web stuff, I would be so grateful. But in any case, I dropped it. I didn't pursue it anymore because I had my answer. I felt so clear about man-made global warming being a scam and seeing the agenda. But if what you say is so, I should get back on it.
Oh, there's no doubt that it's an agenda, and it's a huge moneymaker. Al Gore, very interesting name, Al Gore, Allegory, like a story.
Wow.
Are you there?
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry. I hate the word research because that just means to search again. In other words, the searching's already been done for you. If you investigate Al Gore and his family, in a 5-minute Google search, you would just shake your head at how much of a globalist he is. You'll notice everything's about globalism, being one. not being an individual, even Disney. Man, I can just go on and on about this stuff, and it's killing me because I'm not going to Disney World next week. My entire family's going except me because they know how I feel about Disney and Disney World. Very, very evil place. But do you have any grandchildren or people you know who have children?
Yeah, I do.
Are they into High School Musical?
I don't know. I mean, recently my little niece, if you look on my site, I did some things with her because I'm helping my sister in her wardrobe consulting business. She did a little video by herself and edited, which I thought was great. And she liked the Rapping Dog, but I noticed she didn't like Soldier Boy. She said everybody was playing that at school, and she doesn't like that. She's only 11. Right. I mean, that's my niece. That's my only clue into high school.
Well, if you ask her about, if you want to sound like a good aunt, and you say, hey, what do you think about High School Musicals? I guarantee she's going to say, I love it. I listen to the music all the time. If you look at the lyrics of High School Musical or anything Disney, and if you're able to connect the dots of what the main purpose of those songs are to do, it would scare the bejesus out of you.
Really?
There's a lot of the songs have the word we in it. It's all about we and not being an individual. It's all about groupthink and we. There's one song, it's we're all in this together. Together we were, all those are we things. And that's just pure propaganda that hits the subconscious that tells us that we can't make decisions for ourselves, that we have to rely on others. And if you look at all the Disney tunes, and I'm looking it up right now, who the writer is for that song. Give me a second here.
But
who Edie Gourmet is?
I think I heard it. Can you tell me though?
It's a big-time actress, Hollywood actress, I believe. It's her son who wrote all these Disney songs. So I'm looking it up right now here. Let's see.
But you know, this is a two-edged sword. I know Harold Channer, kind of gripes about the state of Israel coming at a time when other nations were sort of disbanding, because it's kind of a problem to have an extra nation there right now.
Well, speaking of Israel, Israel is the exact center of Europe, the exact precise center.
No, but you know what I'm saying? When I was on the island of Cyprus, the Cypriots would gripe about the Turkish method of encroaching on territory, when the invasion happened in 1974,
right, and
saying that their strategy to secure their land was to put all their criminals on the island.
Right.
But the thing is, they were not, I found out the hard way, if you insinuate that the Cypriots and the Jews might be related, they're all horrified. People that look like each other seem to be horrified when you imply that they might be each other,
Right.
So they even though they said this was a nasty strategy that the Turks did, they were very seemingly, I don't know, they would, maybe because I was an American and they assumed all Americans are pro-Israel. And believe me, let me tell you one thing, I love Israelis. I went over to Israel, to Tel Aviv. I fell in love with an Israeli. I was married, so I didn't even touch him. We would go to the museums. I'm sure if I went back, I'd fall in love again. But I have a lot of problems about what's going on with their government.
Oh, I'll beat you to the punch, Paula. I was born a Jew, and I guess you'd call me a Jew hater because I'm not proud of that fact. And
but I love Judaism too.
Yeah, well, you have to. That gets into boy. We can talk for seriously weeks about religion.
Right.
I'm absolutely convinced, and this is really dangerous to say it, that all religions were contrived by the Vatican.
Yeah, but what about before you had a Vatican?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm still, I'm not too far down the rabbit hole yet. I haven't been doing this for a long time. I was more concerned about making money and buying all the goodies and all that kind of stuff. And I never paid attention to history. I basically flunked out of high school and college.
But history.
I was successful at that, and I dropped out of college.
Well, that's a good thing about making money because you're very practical and you draw to you that which works. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but if you look at money, they say money is the root of evil, and then they say the love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Money itself is evil, and it's evil for two purposes. Number one, your money is minute by minute determined. The value of money is determined by global bankers on a minute by minute basis. Right now, the dollar is plunging, as Webster would say, right?
Right.
So that's one reason why money's evil, but the real reason money's evil is because of taxes. They determine what we pay in taxes to. So they have like two needles on the nose going here, and they can control, the elite criminal globalist bankers are controlling money, and we are slaves. There's no doubt about it. Now, a lot of people don't talk about this. The great Maxwell Jordan tells us that the United States is a corporation, and we are the employees of the corporation. That's why we have a Social Security number. And do you know who owns the corporation? I'll give you a hint. It's not someone in the United States.
Who is it?
The Queen of England.
The Queen of England. But, and do you think she's a reptile?
I know Hitler's a Rothschild.
No, a reptile.
You're going to get into David Icke stuff.
No, I don't like it.
I don't believe in that, with the eyes, the shape-shifting. No, I think that's a big distraction.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of scary, though, because it gives people another excuse to hate. Like, I don't want to hate anybody, not even the Queen.
See, all the stuff that we talk about, all the reptilian stuff, and I don't know, are you a New Ager? You sound kind of like a New Ager.
Yeah, by default, I have to be a New Ager, but the thing is I had a young master, that told me that none of the big gurus who came to the West ever taught what it was that allowed them to achieve their stature, which was the Divine Mother and the 5 elements. So if you can, like the Buddhist viewpoint that there is no God or there's no ultimate authority, has to do with the play of the elements, earth, air, fire, and water.
Yep.
And so if you look into very deep wisdom of healing, a good doctor would always understand these balance of elements, and that you don't just, like for example, cancer. If cancer is the logical outcome of the body seeking balance, how are you going to cut out balance? How are you going to radiate imbalance?
I don't know. I know that if you have an alkaline body, that certainly helps you with cutting out cancer.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to that, but I think that there's an even deeper level, and it has to do with tuning in to the fundamental vibration of nature, and that you have, consciousness and energy. And so we're doing an expression of consciousness, your willpower, my willpower, our belief in a body of knowledge that we've acquired. But there's another unity between us, between every one of us, including the Queen of England. And from that platform of balance, we can seek the most enduring life experience.
Yeah, I would. I see you rolling your eyes.
No, because
I would rely on you for that inspiration. I am currently not I am as agnostic as they come, which means that I'm willing to listen to someone to change my mind. But
no,
in 40 years,
and I'm excited about listening to people like you and Nico who think that every religion has been infiltrated, because to me, that excites me more, or it does. It's not even intellectually excites me. It just draws my energy into a direction that makes my spiritual study even richer. For example, Harold Channer says scarcity's been transcended as of 1972, I think it was, or 70, with Buckminster Fuller, and they have all the models, and he can explain all that. But I feel scarcity has always been transcended, because Jesus' demonstration of the multiplication of the loaves is just a demonstration of a mastery of a science that we have been denied for the most part. And so it's always been transcended, but I think there's always the same hurdles of belief.
Right.
Anyway, that's just where
I'm sorry, you're cut off.
No, I don't want to heap on too much, because I'm kind of excited about what you know about TV Fakery, and I don't want to distract.
Yeah, I was going to say one more thing before TV Fakery. You know who Oprah is, obviously.
Yes.
Everyone knows Oprah.
Yeah.
She's now, she's going, my prediction is she's going to be the goddess of the New Age religion. And it's already started. In fact, it started yesterday. She has a website about miracles. And I can certainly past that. I don't know what the...
I didn't know she was New Age.
Well, she is now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, so well, the thing is, I got miracles covered. I mean, I had, one ass-kicking master. I mean, it was tough to be at his ashram.
Yeah, when I
hate
get
it.
on the phone, I'll email you or YouTube email you the link to Oprah, and certainly she's hooked up with another partner, and that whole secret, the secret book. And I know Joe Vitale. Are you shaking your head because that's...
I don't like it because people aren't really manifesting. What they do is they get jacked up by paying to listen to somebody else who manifested, who more or less is manifesting, sucking off their energy.
Exactly. Joe Vitale's one of the secret, experts on that panel who's in that book. Well, he's in my industry, and we all know him as a fraud. Joe Vitale has this thing about hypnotism, and if someone's talking about hypnotism and magic is just deception. You want to stay clear away from people who perform magic.
Well, see, I believe in magic, but
that's deception, though.
Well, there's an argument that the whole universe is deception, but on the other hand, the tantrics will say, no, you can't say that because you're always going to have your physical body.
Right.
So from the point of view of pure consciousness, even the physical body is an illusion. So this is a very deep and long-standing argument. You know what I'm saying?
Kinda. I'm just,
I mean, as soon as you're born into a human body, you are in the illusion circles. It's just, and perhaps it's willpower that keeps one illusion going. You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about, because you have until 12:30, right?
We can go on as long as we want because I'm going to put this on YouTube.
Okay.
Up to an hour.
I think we both can agree on.
Okay.
Which is 9/11 TV Fakery. Do you understand, or does your audience understand why this is such a controversial issue?
I don't know what my audience on Manhattan Neighborhood Network understands because they don't blog me like on YouTube. But
well, it's controversial because it changes the entire game if it's proven that planes were faked, specifically Flight 175 on 9/11. It changes the entire thing because now instead of, who Alex Jones is?
Yes.
Okay.
And I never...
Great Alex Jones.
What's that?
I said the great Alex Jones. Everyone, he's such a great guy. I'm being sarcastic.
No, I know.
Everyone looks to Alex Jones as the truth, and you get Alex Jones truth. And the reason why Alex Jones will not touch this is because it changes everything if the media is the ones who fake the planes.
Right.
It's proven that the media has faked the planes going into the building. We can no longer blame the government or the New World Order or the Illuminati.
Right.
That's gone.
Right.
We now have actual people that we can point the fingers to, and that's the problem with life right now. We've been had. Life is one big lie. I know you disagree with that. I've heard you say that you don't think everything's a conspiracy and we're not getting nailed from all angles. I disagree with that to some extent.
Well, you may have misunderstood me.
Okay, go ahead.
Because conspiracy is the most indicted crime in all 50 states. And I also have a business confession on the air where I said how I made some money in cellular telephone, which was a type of conspiracy. And some people said, oh, it wasn't that big a deal what you did. But basically, the federal government was giving cellular telephone licenses away by lottery. And during the last rounds, they did a reversal. They used to like settlement groups because it made it easier for them. But in the end, they didn't want settlement groups because as a result of the word getting out that settlement groups were possible, they were inundated with applications. So what we did was, in the last rounds, we made an under-the-table agreement, and we created our own settlement group.
Okay.
And as a result, the license eventually sold for $20 million. But it was in my mother's name, but she wasn't the real party of interest. So I said, this is how I absolutely know Larry Silverstein is not the real party of interest.
And you're only going to be fueling up more anti-Semitism at a deep level. Right, that's a total distraction. So wait, let me get this straight. You made $20 million off this deal? Yes. I didn't personally. My share was $5 million. Right, is this how you can afford doing the streaming? Because I looked at the price for doing streaming. It's expensive. No, that's a total gift. That's a gift from every cast because I lost my money because, as somebody said, Paula, you don't always make it this way. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so that's why I met Webster Tarpley, because he gave a talk at St. Mark's Church, and he said that Condoleezza Rice was caught with her hand in the cookie jar, and that's why she wasn't on the inner circle with the neocons. I hardly knew what a neocon was. I'd been in India for 4 years, and I was expecting to come back to about $150 million. Because I was invested in something that had to do with telecommunications in China. And apparently there was big people from the State Department and celebrations on this deal, and all of a sudden the deal was gone. So I thought that if I met Webster, that he would be like an investigative person for me. So once I met him, I found he was sort of an historian that wasn't like me thinking about investments. And I felt sort of ashamed that I cared about something as petty as my last $1.5 million. Right. And it got me interested in 9/11 Truth. Otherwise, I would have been intimidated. I had a spiritual show. Well, it's interesting you say that, because I found out about 9/11 Truth by losing $19,000 of my best friend's money. I invented something. Really? Expert alert. You'll find this fascinating. It was an online matchmaking service between the media and book authors. So let's say that you wrote a book about New Age, right? Uh-huh. You would sign up for Expert Alert, pay the $97 a month, and as soon as there was news about something New Age, no matter what it was, the media who said track anything that's newsworthy about this topic, New Age, tell me all the authors that are out there who are willing to call me up right away and do an interview. So this is great. So let's say something came out about Oprah. Oprah is doing New Age. So boom, you get this email alert from my company that would say ABC, NBC, Fox, they all want to interview you because of Oprah. So it was a matchmaking service. So I needed a bonus. In marketing, you always have bonuses. That's what gets you over the top. And I highly recommend, by the way, for your site, if you're looking for donations, and I can help you off the air about this, you need to have bonuses that give away. If you give a size donation, you get this video for free. I was thinking about doing that. I would have Webster Tarpley's, 9/11 Synthetic Terror Made in USA for my political people, and then for my spiritual people, I republished this extraordinary book on Tantra when I was in India. So I thought maybe for $100 I'd give that away. No, I'll give away for any amount. We've done extensive with my customers. I have a membership site about this that talks about how to make money. Okay, well, I defer to your judgment because God knows I'm not doing it right. Well, I don't know your situation, but yeah, if you have a bonus that you give away for any amount, and what we find is that in the business that you're in, you're going to average a $7 to $8 donation. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but it's free money, and what you do is you get an email list going. So yeah, but the thing is, the books cost me more than that. Well, that's why I wouldn't give away a book. I'd give away like a video or something that's emailable or something. Oh. That there's no cost. But I already give everything away. Well, I don't know about that, but something. Yes, I do. Give away you have an exclusive video that you did that wasn't aired or something like that. So you don't. It's kind of like eBay. You have a no reservation. You have a no reserve. No, the only thing that I really want to do, and it's not for the sake of raising money, but to gather together those who are really, really serious. I really want to do something deep about Tantra and sexuality. It is so profoundly misunderstood, it's painful. And, so I thought maybe I could have some kind of password exclusive part of the website for that. I recommend keeping things simple. I have software that I just pull my hair out that I spend a lot of money in that does this membership stuff, and it's just one thing after another. In fact, my server's been compromised over the last couple of days, probably because of my political views. Really? That is what I'm finding. So you want to keep it as simple. You want to use PayPal, and I can talk to you off there and show you how to do it. But the bottom line is... But how can we help the most people? How can we help this horror of the global warming thing that you're talking about, and Ron Paul being this nightmare president? Well, you don't have to, that's why I brought up Alan Watts. As Alan Watts says, you don't have to convince everyone of what's going on.
Oh, okay.
85 to 90% of the people will never wake up to this stuff. Never. And that's like selling ice to Eskimos. And I don't recommend that. I'm a big believer in selling water to thirsty people.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right? So you want to have people like me interested in this stuff.
Right.
If you're trying to tell people about plain, fake video on 9/11, and someone's still holding on to the fact that 19 hijackers did it, that's a losing battle.
No, you know what? I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just concerned about the homeless people. I'm concerned about how worried everybody is about money. I'm concerned about how in New York now it's so expensive to live that some of the most creative artists, they can't afford to live there, and it's their home.
That's where I agree with Webster. It's one of the few things I agree with him on, is that everything starts with 9/11 truth. Because if you understand that 9/11, and they keep saying that inside job thing, was a false story, then you will gradually, over years, it takes years for people to figure out that vaccines aren't good for you. And by the way, I love the fact that you're into raw milk. I've been giving my son raw milk now for a year. It's been great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, people think, raw milk is so dangerous. If people understand that the government is not here... By the way, do you know what the word government is in Latin?
No.
Control the mind.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, but then again, there you go. I've been doing spiritual practices, and on one hand, my greatest teacher, Jean Klein, said the more you do a practice, the more conditioned and less spontaneous you become.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm sure you're a very disciplined person yourself. I'm sure you control your appetites and your inclinations, to reach a point like this where we can have a connection.
Yeah, but 6 months ago I wasn't.
What do you mean?
6 months ago I believed Alex Jones, and I didn't think for myself, and I looked for leaders.
What do you think of that guy Troy from West Virginia, Life Without Alex Jones? I thought that was genius, creative.
I never saw that. You're talking about the guy who gives Alex Jones a lot of crap on there?
Yeah, he's got some videos on YouTube that I think are sheer genius.
I saw that where he's making fun. He was like in a shack or something.
Yeah, but I feel the heartache. I think true art comes from deep, profound heartache. And my separation from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi maybe in 1985 or something. Or no, right before I started my store. It was so painful. So mind control, yes, I agree. But at the same time, at a certain time, you need to have a vision and some protection. And I think, like right now, with Google owning YouTube, and YouTube taking down certain sites, I want to go down to Google and find out I want to just find out what's going on there. And like when I had my cellular telephone license, we were beholden to a Public Utilities Commission.
Right.
And that meant that if we have the honor of having a license to give service to 13 counties in Kentucky, we had to make sure there was an 800 line if there was problems with the service that people are growing to trust and to depend on, that we're there for them. So that involves government. So what is governing YouTube? Who decides what sites come down or not? That's what I mean.
Well, I can tell you who from my investigation. First of all, you know that Google was funded by CIA on day one, don't you?
No, I didn't know it, but you see, I'm not even against CIA. What recently opened my eyes was this international drug and weapons cartel that can buy off media for $50 million, influence a country so that they can get the resources of it, in which case they can easily infiltrate the CIA.
Right. I'm going to give you a website that will absolutely blow your mind right now. It's called scl.cc.
Okay, let me write that down.
Yeah, scl.cc.
Okay.
If you want it, it's called Strategic Communication Laboratories. Okay? And on the left-hand side, there's, this will just blow your mind. It says, what is an op center? So if you want to know...
No, hang on just a second. scl.cc.com?
No, the CC is instead of the .com.
Oh, really? What? I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that myself.
Wow.
But I post a lot of different message boards.
Uh-huh.
One of the ones that I get my word out, try to get the truth out to people, is at Godlike Productions.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of spooks, a lot of but it's one of the most popular message boards on the net that doesn't require registration.
Uh-huh.
And someone sent me this link. This is where all the paid shills they work for. This is who they work for. And to just go a little bit on the tangent, you should definitely check that out when you have some time. So if you want to know who is controlling these shills that go on the internet and try to give us this info, take a look at that website. They tell you that's what they do.
You mean that's what they do? They check in here for their shill briefing?
Possibly. Probably not. You're probably too small, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately. But no, if you go to Godlike Productions and you say, 9/11 was an inside job and it was fake video, you will literally have within minutes, they're alerted to go in there and attack and say, no, that's not true. I'll give you a story that's happening right now.
Oh, just a second. Just a second. I'm certain you're correct, and I've already perceived it even on some of my little humble postings. There's a kind of
on YouTube. Right, on YouTube.
There's a fake energy. There's a fake energy behind it. There's a way they connect, but they don't connect. You know what I mean? A real YouTuber is part of a community.
That's right. And you can tell just by the way they write that they're so insistent and they're name-calling.
Yeah.
I actually have something, I'll send this to you too, from DC Dave called 17...
Oh my God, I did a thing on DC Dave. He faked me out. Nico helped, called me on it after the fact. And then I fessed up to it. I fessed up. I said, look, I did the best I could. It's hilarious. It's DEW Dave. You should check it out. It shows my innocence, actually.
Okay, is this about the 17 ways to detect truth suppression?
Oh no, this was about him being zapped and little pieces of his lungs in the refrigerator and.
No, we must be talking about someone else.
I'm sorry.
Dave is a username, and this guy created this list 17 ways. It's like a checklist. 17 ways to know if someone's is trying to suppress the truth.
Oh, okay.
Excellent checklist.
Okay.
And one of the top ways that I know if someone is a paid shill is if there's no doubt about it, you're wrong and you're an idiot. That's the name-calling aspect of it.
Right.
And I see on your YouTube comments that you get that a lot.
Right.
So right away, if someone's like, you're an idiot or you're a jerk or you're this or that, I know that's a paid shill.
But the thing that I guess what works for me is that so violates principles of nonviolent communication where you give labels instead of information.
Right.
And so that's why I was always able to deal with it. But I ran into, I think, the mechanism you're talking about with breast cancer therapy.
Okay.
So all of a sudden there was something about breast cancer in my box. I go, why is this here? So I checked it out, and by golly, I was in touch with this very sophisticated spamming machine. But the only reason I could bust it that it was a machine is because, a la YouTube, we communicate with videos. So I sent one along which was called Chemotherapy and the Sacrifice of Abraham. Now, believe me, there's no machine that's ready for that kind of video, and as you know, the search engines cannot go into the videos. They can only go into the text.
Well, I disagree. You mean right now they say they can't do that?
Well, okay, maybe they can do that, but let's put it this way. This person or machine or whoever I was communicating with had no idea what I was talking about in the video.
Right.
She wouldn't have responded in the way she did.
Right.
But within such a short amount of time, me tapping really quickly, I got such a rapid number of emails from different directions that I felt this is a sophisticated PR spamming device to influence women to go in a direction that I don't feel, from a tantric point of view, is healthy for their body.
That's right. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Did you ever read the book Blink? Speaking of that, Blink?
No.
It's by Maxwell Gladstone or something like that. He wrote The Tipping Point. And he came out, Blink basically says, when people say that going with your gut reaction is wrong, they're wrong. It's right. And half the book is propaganda, government propaganda, and the other half is very good. And it talks about divorce. There's how you can tell with 90% certainty if you're going to get a divorce. And it came out in 4 factors, but the most important factor was contempt. You don't roll your eyes when someone says something. When your spouse says, do this, and you roll your eyes, contempt. And he's so right about that because I admit it, I've got contempt in my life with my wife, and we have problems. And I see everyone else who's divorced, and you can just see the contempt.
I wrote.
Getting back to it, he found that you you can, in just a blink of an eye, just do a scan, whether you're in person with someone or on the internet, and determine whether something is right or wrong. So it's interesting that you say that about, you get this feel on YouTube, whether the comments, computer generated or a shill or whatever the case is. You just got that intuition.
I think I can help you and your wife if I can get the stuff I want to really do. You know?
Well, you better not show your picture because she'll get jealous. So
No.
you want to send an email.
No, but
what
what I'm saying is that the kind of knowledge that I learned with 4 tough years in India, from top to bottom, Sri Lanka, I read the entire Quran in a Tibetan refugee camp. I sat with Muslims in Kashmir for 2 weeks. I got an insight into that culture. And I think one of the biggest and most painful divisions is between the sexes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's tough.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. But, she's also going to be your greatest supporter for the kind of work that you're doing.
No.
You don't think so?
No, she hates what I do.
Hey, hang on. My father's coming down. Can I introduce you?
Sure.
No, you don't want to be on? Oh, he doesn't want to be on.
All right, so you're still in California, though?
Yeah.
When are you coming back?
On the 7th. I think I'm gonna wrap it up now because I want to work with him, his stuff.
Right.
But before I go, let me show you a picture of my past here. Actually, here, let me go this way. Can you see that very clearly?
Mr. Wickers.
Right.
Love those wicker trucks.
That's me in my retail incarnation. I had a wicker furniture store for 10 years, and it was the wicker came from factories overseas where people were given a more humane working condition, so that they could meditate and not fall asleep.
Right.
Anyway, I just want to say that it's been so wonderful to talk to you, and I look forward to working with you on marketing because I really need that help.
I'd be happy to help you out. By the way, one last thing. I saw you with Robert Steele.
Oh yes.
When was that recorded?
Actually, I should ask Joe Friendly because he's got the original tapes. That would have been that was the last Hope conference, Hackers on Planet Earth.
So those were computer geeks in the room?
I don't know who was in the room. I mean, but every time I listen to it, I learn more and more.
Well, my question is, they were obviously shouting you down. The audience was shouting you down, right?
I know that.
Yeah, isn't that scary?
No, not for me.
No, I'm not saying scary because they're intimidating you. Isn't it scary how brainwashed people are into the official story?
Yeah, but you see, I have the benefit of having a more diverse background. My dad's from another country, and so I'm not as susceptible.
All right, yeah, I don't know. I saw that, and I was disgusted how in this day and age, but by the way, when they all say that, half New Yorkers know that 9/11 was an inside job, I don't buy that. I can't buy that when I see what you went through in that room.
Well, no, I think a lot of people, the only people you heard were probably the paid hecklers, right?
Oh, you think they were paid hecklers?
I can show you, because one is actually talking into a mic, and they're sort of party people. I think that's the kind of corrupt side of the CIA.
Yeah.
They're not doing a very good job.
Well, they've been doing an excellent job. They've covered up Kennedy for 50 years now, 6 years on 9/11. So I actually think they're doing good.
But you know something? I'm beginning to think I owe Noam Chomsky an apology.
Why?
Because I used to be thinking, well, why is Noam Chomsky, the big intellectual, not coming out about, why buildings don't collapse in 11 minutes? But I think that it's because he doesn't want to be part of the 9/11 was an inside job where you can buy it, whereas what it really is, it's a media job. You see what I mean? As an intellectual.
He said that 9/11 is not important to talk about.
It depends how you talk about it. It's like sometimes I find people that know little about the truth movement are actually fresher. Like Jean Klein was saying, when you meditate, you condition your mind and you're not as spontaneous. So you might give a person a revelation about life's meaning who has had no experience with spiritual practice. And so I'm kind of feeling the same on that. At least.
I'll have to work on that.
Look at Noam Chomsky's wife has cancer so badly that he can't get away for more than a couple hours. And his cancer's not that bad. I think he approached me just because of that. You see, and I keep my heart open to anybody who's physically suffering.
Sure, I understand that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you so much for calling.
Oh, it's great talking to you.
Yeah, I'm with my dad now, so I'll connect with you on the email, okay?
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
Have a great day.
Can you go to rabbitholecentral@earthlink.net?
Oh, is that like your email address?
That's my personal email.
Okay. How about if I confirm that through the email
Okay.
for you too?